Hello and welcome to this BeeBusinessBee vlog, where I'm going to look at the topic of unemployment. Now, this is a topic that's got quite a lot of people active on social media debating what it actually means to be unemployed. However, I thought I'd try and help you out in this vlog by covering some of the key knowledge. So firstly, let's have a look at the different types of unemployment that exist. So the first type of unemployment that exists is something called structural unemployment. Now, structural unemployment is when you get an economic mismatch. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that the economy moves on, but the people's skills haven't adapted. They need to have some form of training. So let's think about an example. Stoke-on-Trent, a pottery industry that used to be very good at pottery manufacturing. People used to manufacture these things. So as you can see there, the BeeBusinessBee mugs. Now, they've got skills in pottery making. However, the world has moved on. We now need to manufacture those using machines and robotics. So actually they need skills in engineering and technology. So of course, you could get in Stoke-on-Trent a lot of structural unemployment because you haven't had that retraining taking place. That's where the government intervention comes in. The government needs to spend money to train people to try and encourage them back into the right jobs. Structural unemployment tends to happen when you have a recession. Recessions tend to put people out of work for a longer period of time. That means their skills become outdated. When their skills become outdated, they need retraining. If they haven't had retraining, it means they can't go back into the world of work, and then you get a long-term unemployment problem. Structural unemployment tends to be a long-term problem, and it tends to be in certain conurbations. So that's why you try to look, the government does, to try and hopefully encourage new industry into an area. When it brings new industry into an area, it brings new skills, new training, and hopefully that cycle is broken. But structural unemployment is one of the difficult ones. On the opposite end of the scale, you get frictional unemployment. Now, frictional unemployment is dead simple. It's basically that gap between when you leave one job and you get another job. So if you finish your job at the end of January, so you finish it today, but you don't start your job until March, technically speaking, that gap in the middle is frictional unemployment. It happens all the time. Frictional unemployment is quite logical and quite understandable, and it's normally a sign of a good economy. It means that people are changing jobs and maybe progressing and benefiting themselves. So frictional unemployment is one of those things that happens. Then we have cyclical unemployment. Now, cyclical unemployment is all about the economic cycles and the business cycle. So you see the business cycle about obviously the economy grows, and then obviously once it's peaked to there, it goes back into recession and goes down. Quite logically, when you're growing your economy, you need more employees. When you're obviously in recession, your economy comes down and obviously shrinks in size. Of course, you can link that to seasonal unemployment as well, which goes into the same idea that when the economy is in the boom phase for that season and that area, so let's say it's a seaside resort, for example, or a tourist area, when it's in the summer, everybody has a job. However, when it's in the winter months, people are unemployed, and that has an economic effect there. Now, cyclical or cyclical unemployment is one of those things that happens because of the business cycle, the economic cycle. It's one of those things that just has to be managed, and hopefully, because the economy starts to grow, people start to pick up jobs and work and employment, and it's all about the economic cycle. Of course, you're probably thinking, how does that tie in with where we're at now? Well, this is where it gets technical. We're going to start looking at what the UK's unemployment rate is. It is officially 4%. Now, people will be out there arguing this till the cows come home. The simple fact is, this is calculated using an international measure, the same figure they use in Europe, the same figure they use across the world in most countries to make it a comparable figure. 4% is a record low. So in the UK at the moment, the economy has got a record low number of people out of work. You think that's great, everybody else thinks that's great. Now I need to read this because obviously I find this myself quite technical, so I'm going to read this to you. The way it's defined is, it's calculated using a labour force survey, which includes people who meet the international definition of unemployed specified by the International Labour Organisation, which is the ILO. You're probably thinking, okay, what does that definition include? Well, it says it's defined as you are unemployed if you are without a job, have been actively seeking work in the past 4 weeks and are available to start work in the next 2 weeks. Or you're out of work, have found a job and you're waiting to start in the next 2 weeks, so that's your frictional unemployment. However, without a job but actively seeking work, that means you actually have to be able to work. You have to be between the ages of 16 and 64. If you're not in there, then you're not classed as it. And of course, if you're a student, that probably is your full-time job anyway, so you won't be classed in that stat anyway. And that is how we define unemployment. And that is also the different types of unemployment. Hopefully that makes some sense to you. And I'm hoping that the debate that's been going on my social media pages will now hopefully look at this video and think, you know what, I understand that. I understand the different types of unemployment, and I understand that we've got record levels of unemployment in this country at the moment. We are in record lows. We're doing amazingly well, and those stats are international stats. Yes, you can debate where the stats come from and how they calculate them, but we can only use the data that's been provided, and of course, that is what we use on BeeBusinessBee. So, until next time, remember to keep